The time of our return is coming. Our numbers will darken the sky of every world. You cannot escape your doom.
Welcome to the channel. I'm Richter Von Doom. Today I'm going to be covering Mass Effect 1, Legendary Edition, starting with, well, Mass Effect 1. I wanted to emphasize this is my 19th playthrough of Mass Effect. And yes, it does feel weird to be reviewing a game that is over a decade old. My opinion may be biased because I'm a huge fan, but it's still safe to assume I crossed every T and dotted every lowercase j. Let's not waste any more time and just jump right into it. Graphically, right away, dude, I was blown away. It looks so good. The textures are way sharper. The lighting effects help some of the still scratchy facial animations. But other than that, this game is gorgeous. The environments have also received a huge upgrade, which really can't be appreciated until you start playing with the brand new photo mode, which I just fell in love with right away. Even if it just was for a new wallpaper for my desktop. To this day, I think the Mass Effect franchise has some of the best vistas in gaming, and being able to capture those for whatever I want is just a huge upgrade. And all of this only gets improved by the game being in 4K and running at 60 plus frames, or in 2K at 140 plus frames. The combat, I'm going to be honest here, brutally. I love Mass Effect, but the combat in Mass Effect 1 was horrible. So I was super excited to see how much they have improved, and I'm glad to say it's a lot better. Headshots feel like headshots. Although the shooting is improved heavily, we still have a clunky sticky cover, which makes repositioning a chore. You're better off not taking cover and just grabbing Peeker's advantage 90% of the time. The AI is still dumb as bricks and will funnel into your shots, posing almost no challenge except for one-shots, even on the hardest difficulty. And yeah, we can direct both squad mates independently now, but why can't I map their powers to my quick slots like they did in the sequels? I am a huge fan of being able to use other weapons than the ones you specialize in, even if I used it very little. One thing the sequels did very well was distinguish different types of enemies and how you and your squad had to deal with them. And I was hoping for an improvement here on more coordination, but everything kind of just felt the same. Mass Effect lacks that. At least the first one lacks that. I like to say there are 3 types of enemies in Mass Effect 1. Guys that shoot from cover. They just stand there and shoot. Snipers, rockets, assault. Sometimes they even forget to take cover. Guys not in cover. These are your big boys, your husks, your Thorian creepers. Just anything with a shit ton of health and essentially just stand there and shoot at you, or they just run at you. And finally, Krogans. Fighting a Krogan in Mass Effect 1 is one of the scariest things in the game. Between immunity, health regen, the ability to get back up, locking down a Krogan is the only thing in the game that will make you change tactics. At the end of the day, although the combat has still seen a huge makeover, it still comes up short compared to its predecessors, and is still probably the weakest part about Mass Effect 1. The inventory system we all loved so much is back. The scrolling, the useless armors, the ammo powers, the greeting screen of checking your inventory and seeing the piles of loot you picked up from killing enemies that you just end up selling 99% of it anyways. Do you really need 16 Predator 6 pistols? No, you don't. Are you really going to switch ammo powers in the middle of combat? No, you won't. So it makes the ability to counter enemy types cumbersome, which we stated earlier, doesn't even really matter since you can just power through any enemy you want and ignore the lack of increased damage bonus. But thank goodness they added the mark as junk button, so at least emptying my inventory and getting rich is quick and painless. And to top it off, the amount of space they added has now been doubled. I don't even think I saw the inventory almost full message even once. Just a nice quality of life feature, I guess. However, the combat UI is sleek and sexy, feels fresh yet familiar, and looks just way better overall. It actually looks like they just recreated the HUD for Mass Effect 3 and it just works amazing. The new leveling system in Legendary Mode was a warm welcome. I remember on old playthroughs I had to do everything in the game, and only being able to get to level 58 by the time the credits rolled. But by this time around, I arrived at Vermeer, I was already well above level 20 and already in Super Saiyan mode, just destroying everything in my path. The game felt easier because I remember dying a lot in the original trilogy on Insanity. Like a lot. But on this playthrough on the Legendary version, I only died twice, and they were both very early in the game. The Mako is still boring. Enough said. The Mako never really sucked. At least I never thought it sucked. I always thought what we do in it sucks. The 10-minute treks across a planet for platinum, and then you head back to the other side of the planet to infiltrate the copy pasta warehouse or to mark some new debris. It's not very interesting. So even though the Mako does feel better and it does flow better and it shoots better, it's just the way it's used just really isn't fun. It really never was. A fresh coat of paint can't hide all the flaws of the original game that were in place. However, this paint looks really nice and it runs really nice, guys. 4K, 60 plus frames, the updated textures and the lighting make what I thought was a gorgeous game just look even better. Combat is still the biggest problem of Mass Effect 1. It always was and it will forever be. That does not mean it's bad. It just needed a whole new system, but thankfully the sequels fixed all of that. But considering the age of Mass Effect 1, it's safe to say that the team at BioWare has done an amazing job at bringing this classic into the modern era. Speaking of sequels, stay tuned for my review of Mass Effect 2 coming soon. Thank you all, see you next time, and don't forget, I'm Richter Von Doom. This is my favorite video on the Citadel.